Good morning. Nice to see your faces. All right, let's open the document on the drive. And I believe I have it open. Yes. So let us go to where the transliterated verses are and let us chant. The first four I will chant first, you shall follow. After the chanting, we will do a dialogue and then we will move into the next teachings. We'll chant the first four. Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. First, we will chant to the Guru. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahm, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. And then the class mantra. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhanaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Ma Vidvisha Vahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now we begin. Though this Nirvana Shatakam has been composed by a human author, Shankaracharya, and the tradition is to chant Om before all Vedic mantras, Vedic and Upanishadic mantras, because they do not have a human author, we believe. They may have human scribes, but it is coming from the divine Ishvara itself. But we have, over the course of time, begun to attach the sound of Om at least once before the writings of Shankaracharya. So we shall chant Om Manobuddhahankar Chittani Naham न चाश्रोत्र जिह्वे न चाघ्राणनेत्रे न चाव्योमभूमिर्न तेजो न वायु चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् न च प्राणसंज्ञो न वै पञ्चप्राणो न वा सप्तधातु न वा पञ्चकोशः न वाक्पाणिपादम् न चोपस्थपायु चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् न मे द्वेषरागौ न मे लोभमोहौ मदानेव मेनेव मात्सर्यभावः न धर्मो न चार्थो न कामो न मोक्षः चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् न पुण्यं न पापम् न सौख्यं न दुःखम् न मन्त्रो न तीर्थम् न वेदा न यज्ञः अहं भोजनं नेव भोज्यं न भोक्ता चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् Beautiful. Welcome back. The floor is now open for Samvada. So if you have any questions, comments, please raise your physical hand or your virtual hand. Ishani, go ahead.
Thank you. So I wanted finding. Oh. Sorry, did I interrupt?
Did you raise your hand?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Well, I did raise my hand. I raised my hand also. It's just that I'm having a difficulty with the sound.
Okay, go ahead,
today.
Arya. Yes.
And so in the negation exercise that I've been doing with you, your meditation, your contemplation, I clearly arrived at a state of awareness, expansion. It was a very quiet presence, but I didn't. I experienced peace, and with my mind is a lack of rajas, but not the sense of bliss. And I wonder, does that come with the practice?
Yes. Yes. But peace is a kind of bliss that you experienced. Peace is perhaps the first stage of bliss when things quieten down. And It is hard to say. I don't have a exact answer for you, but whatever you are doing is the way to go. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So more than the Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham, at this point it may, especially if you are starting, it will give you a peace or a calmness or an awareness. But to match up your experience with these words, Chid Ananda Shiva, that is what will come at the end of all the verses, and that takes some knowledge. It's a knowledge enabled, and I have not expounded upon it in depth. And then once I've expounded upon it, it may take a few years to hear it, intellectually understand it, and feel it. Otherwise, it would be, within a heartbeat. However, whatever you are learning now, you and all of you are learning now. And if you truly want to not just feel it, but become, that bliss, that peace, you start now. And these teachings, they bypass birth and death, and you are reborn again, and you continue. So time is not, there is no timing. It can happen in one instance. It can, at least you felt something. At least let's see, you got a human mind, you birth, so you have a human mind to look for these things. Check. You found a teacher. Check. And you, as in I'm talking to everyone now. You found a teacher in the tradition. Check. You have the curiosity and the inner drive to show up. And perhaps for some of you, it is even a matter of showering, waking up early, doing the puja. So all, depends on the degree to how much you want it, how much you want it. That's what it reflects. So that's happening. Then there are no many obstacles coming in the way. You are showing up and you log on and you are there, and the teacher is still alive. So transmission is happening. We believe that the universe is orchestrating all this permissions to happen. You keep practicing now, neti neti, and perhaps with each encounter, with every practice, the question you're asking, yes, it gets better, but because this is a non-material goal, I'm unable to really define it. So we'll just have to feel our way initially, and then suddenly all lights on. Okay? All right.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Ishani?
Thank you. So my experience with this contemplation has been that so with this systematic negation, it's helping me kind of pull apart and disentangle. I feel like a surgeon, like cutting apart the erroneous beliefs. And the thing that I'm finding is I'm becoming aware of this subtle static of ignorance and confusion that I didn't know before I started looking so closely was constantly there. And so what that is I realized through this practice this week, I've had a subtle wrong belief, identification that parts of the transactional reality, parts of mithya, were impeding my awakening journey, or that my awakening journey or experience of myself is dependent on conducive transactional circumstances. And it seems I was kind of conflating these two. So it's pulling apart that when I remember that I'm not, and it, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Simply that I'm finding it I'm looking at these micro ways in which I would see these different layers of my body, of my speech, or of, even in like my elimination, all these things, which I realize only when I'm micro looking with this neti on these levels, am I realizing, wow, part of me actually did believe that has to be sorted, changed, manipulated. That has to become the self rather than self is present. And this is also happening, and I'm cleaning it up, and I'm working on that transactional reality according to Ayurveda, Vedanta, yoga, all these things. But that there's something separate, that the self is separate, which I knew intellectually, but this practice is shining a spotlight on the parts of me that don't recognize it, that don't really believe it, or still stuck in entangled.
Good. Your contemplation is heading in the right direction. So I have nothing more to add. It's wonderful. And the only thing I will say for everyone's benefit is that these comments were not made by an aspiring sadhaka. These comments are made by someone who has arrived. So when they arrived, they realized, they looked back and they said, oh, wow, I'm not my mind, I'm not my buddhi, I'm not my ahankar, I'm not my chitta. So I am Shiva, I am the Chidananda Rupa Shiva. How that helps us aspiring sadhakas is that we know that's the goal, that there is something separate, as you said. While we are talking about non-duality, which we will understand and unpack, but fact of the matter is that we are targeting for that presence that is not affected, disrupted, or influenced by any of this. Indeed. And therefore, for the sadhaka to spend all their attention in either winning in the transactional reality or pushing it away or pulling it in is unnecessary. Transactional reality, which is your everyday life of mind, body, buddhi, roles, has to be led with dharma, has to be led with Ayurveda and some transactional insights that we get from these Vedic sciences. It has to be made comfortable, and a bulk of it simply has to be accepted based on the role that Ishvara has placed us in. If you were born in the potter's family, you may be running a pottery shop, even in America. Chances are people tend to follow their cultural, conditional inputs. They follow swadharma or dharma, and you just continue dharmically. That's it. Our only purpose is to stay awake in transactional reality. And different waves of difficulty and ease will come. We have to stay steady. That is our goal. We don't have to make huge, big acquisitions and huge, big letting goes, because both of them then become waves of the mind. Instead, we have to do this. We have to become quiet, to go inwards and use this knowledge to discover what is hidden but present in the transactional reality also. And fortunately, it is not present in a museum or a temple or a mosque. Means maybe parts of it are, but it is closely present in our own self. So that's the good news. We are never alone, even in the transactional reality. So what I have spoken, has that added to your clarity? It has not taken you here or there, but honed in, yes? Okay, very good. So we'll stay with that then. Good. One last comment question, and then we proceed. If there is any.
Shunyaji,
Yes?
I think sometimes when we say the word bliss, people have big expectations from that word. And as I am going along, I realize that bliss is very, very subtle in the way that we are going about it. And as you say, when we're in the transactional world and you need to be receptive to the underlying bliss. As you said, like something like peace. You need to be somewhat still to understand that underlying peace. And I was just wondering if maybe you could speak about the subtlety of the bliss we're talking about.
Maybe I will address that question. It's a very valid question, but I haven't really expounded upon the word ananda. It's coming up. And some of you are older students, some of you are newer, but either way, we don't know who is where deep inside them. So what we'll do is we'll follow the protocol. And the protocol is to first negate. The first protocol is negation. So at least let us unhook our hooks into all these roles and conditions. So whatever else remains, think of it as this is something we will explore. Whether it is awareness, whether it is peace, whether it is contentment, whether it is boredom, I don't know what remains. But whatever remains, we may look into it. And just because we look into it does not mean you will really get it. It is so subtle, I agree with you. And the mind may compulsively try to find adjectives or behavior to tag it, to label it. But the thing is, it is unlabelable because the awareness through which the mind is trying to figure it out is the truth. It is not out there, but it is the source of the mind. It is the source of the senses. It goes behind, it is not in front of those words. So it is the awareness of the awareness that we are trying to go. We're going backwards. We are not going into awareness has a book in it. Awareness has a diary in it. So this is Brahman or this is Atma. We cannot say that. It is this awareness which then functions through the mind and identifies a journal. This is that awareness we are trying to find. So it's definitely requires quieting down, but also continued guidance. And all of this groping is very natural and it's fine. It gives us a way to dialogue and say, keep studying, keep thinking, keep contemplating. Contemplating more than anything, knowledge-enabled contemplation ultimately will make the mind stop looking for that bliss out. What does this bliss feel like? What is this peace? What is this Shiva? Is it an Indian or an American? It will stop looking for nouns and adjectives and become blessed by pure objectless awareness and be in that meditation. All right? Does that help you, Michelle? Okay. Okay, so now we will conclude Samvada and we will continue with the third verse. And in this verse, I hope you have the meanings out and you can see the transliteration. But now that we have negated the gross level of mind, buddhi, or intellect, ego, and the memories and the sense organs in the first verse, we have then gone into the physiological or psychological composition of layers of prana, of 5 vital breaths, of 7 tissues of the body, if you want to go by the physical body, and then the 5 koshas, if you want to follow the yogic anatomy. We have gone beyond the the grasping functions of the hand and the locomotive functions of the legs. This is what creates a personality which is out there in the transactional reality, studying this. But we are also, we're not, we are negating cognitively. We're negating cognitively to say, okay, if I'm not this, and if I'm not that, and if I'm not the person who moves it, if I'm not the person who grasps, if I'm not the person who speaks, then who am I? That is the underlying inquiry. And continuing to negate, perhaps we then come across a yet deeper part of ourselves where we like some things. Each one of us here has, and we are allowed to have that. Of course, in pathological levels, it becomes pathological, but we are all demarcated by our likes and dislikes. All of us here like spirituality. All of us like the Vedic knowledge. All of us, some of us here like the Shastra, the scriptural based teaching. So we have likes and then we have dislikes. I can say for sure that all of us dislike movies with sex and violence and ridiculousness in them. All of us dislike fast foods and crappy sensory experiences because we are into sattva. So we have likes and dislikes. And sometimes we have likes and dislikes which are almost blind within us. They are like a script. And when that happens, we lean upon our likes and dislikes. And that gives birth to what is known as ragaha. Ragaha means the liking, which is almost a dependency. And dvesha means a dislike to the point of dependency. So we are identified by this high level of, oh no, I can't handle that. And oh, I must have that, otherwise I'll be miserable. Or why is this thing in my life or this person in my life? Because I have dvesha to them, to the point of such dislike, such hatred, such discomfort, that it is like a psychological hook putting us into a state of negativity. And raga is a psychological hook putting us in a state of constant seeking of what we like. Many of us think that we don't have raga dvesha, we have benign likes and dislikes, but raga dvesha is like cancerous likes and dislikes. But unfortunately, we may have raga dvesha within us. For example, one of the raga we all have is to stay alive at any cost. And we even have a medical system, the most popular one, that wants to keep you alive. Even when you're dead, they keep, trying to resurrect you. So there is a preference for living and a dislike for death. There is a raga for youth and a dvesha towards old age and wrinkles and gray hair. There is a raga for having, as Ishani was mentioning, optimum circumstances in our bank account, in our relationships, etc. And we have a dvesha for any discomfort there. While as transactional beings, it is normal to want to bring some level of sanity, and it is our dharma to do that. And I teach all that in my roaring series, such as you deserve wealth, go get it. You deserve happy relationships, go ahead and make them happen. You deserve, what was the third one? Health. Go ahead and, work for it. In fact, in my Ayurveda teachings, I'm full-time catering to that transactional desire. But here in our Advaita class, we are looking at the grip that this desire has and how on us and how it on the ego and how it creates the cluster of our personality and our likes and dislikes. But in one go, we are being encouraged to say, you are not circumscribed ever by your raga and dvesha. You can set it apart at any moment because you are not that. So I love my father. I'm going to go visit him. I visit him once or twice a year. And I have a liking for him to be in his body eternally, like to probably, my if my ego had a field day, it would say my father will defeat all the laws of the universe and live in his tired body forever. If my ego could have it that way, it would ask for such a wish. But as as a daughter, okay, it's childish fantasy, but it is only as a sadhaka that I can say it's fantasy, because how many people pray for life at any cost, and death feels like an anomaly, it's ugly. So anything that our ego is not okay with, it feels ugly. But then as a sadhaka, in one moment, I can be free of that grasping for my father's body. And any moment, I'm like, set it aside. It is just a raga. And I am not that raga. So then there is separation. Similarly, the dvesha could be, oh my gosh, how would I ever face this living personality, blessing personality lying on the floor? Because we put the dead body on the floor. Living body walks on earth and dead body lies on earth. And then there is a dvesha, oh, but then okay. In yoga, we even have what is known as a corpse posture. Every day we should lie down on earth like a corpse and gradually reduce this distaste of death, also bring death into life and life into death. So our holistic perspective is we are not that. Similarly, we are being asked to step away from the word mother. And mother here we are defining as, how have I defined it for you? Pride. And moha, that is another word, which means delusion. So what is pride? Pride is not just superiority. There can be even pride in lessness. It's some kind of an ego. Um, we can have the pride in giving, and we can have the pride in receiving. Oh, no, thank you. Can't even receive because we have so much pride. No. So pride is kind of a layering of emotional kind of soars within us that we're not able to be natural. We're not able to be simple. We're not able to be spontaneous. A rose is a gorgeous, beautiful flower. A lotus is even more gorgeous, and a tiny daisy is very humble. In comparison, when we look at our categorizing mind, and my mind added those adjectives. But the rose is natural, without pride. The lotus is without pride. The daisy is without pride, because they are all natural. But our emotions and feelings are so complex, we get caught up by our own pride. And instead, we have to negate that, whether it is the diminishing, whether that pride makes us diminish or whether that pride makes us bloat up. But it is an egoic condition, and we are asked to set it apart, to negate that, to come to arrive at what is left. And moha is a kind of a delusion, and we spend decades in that delusion. And that delusion could be, I'm a victim. That delusion could be, I'm winning. That delusion could be, I don't belong. That delusion could be, I have been unfairly treated. That delusion could be, I don't have a voice. And the delusion could be, my voice must be heard at any cost. So we can get caught up in delusions, while all of these experiences have some bona fide, merit in transactional reality. But when we are going for that transcendental search, then we have to set apart any delusions that we may be carrying. So that's where when we say that neither am I the mother Neva, nor am I the lobha. Then lobha. Lobha is another word which means my greed. And greed is not just for food or small things, but greed is what drives a lot of us. The greed of belonging, the greed of community, the greed of money, the greed of having children, the greed of God, the greed of guru. So a greed is an out of control desire. It is, the Sanskrit word is vasana, and greed drives us. And while we must all pursue the guru or pursue God or pursue truth, greed in any matter disturbs the whole situation. And that's why in my book, Sovereign Self, I've talked about three kinds of greed: body-based greed for sensory comforts, worldly greed for money and relationships, and spiritual greed for guru and God. And unless we set aside that greed cognitively, saying, no greed, no greed, I'm not that greed. Oh, I see that greed for a happy ever after. I see that greed for this. What if I set that apart? Then what happens? That's helpful. Now, so that is what the first line is saying. Name dvesha raga. I am neither dvesha nor raga. Name lobha mayo. I am neither my greed nor my pride. Mado neva me. I am not. Mado means mother. Mado neva me. I am not. I'm not. I am not. I may have, but I am not that mother. I am not that pride. And then matsarya, that's another word here, the jealousy that comes, the competition, the comparison, it really constricts us, and none of us can say we've never had it. And yet the spiritual journey is about negating that, setting that apart, and not trying. So journey here is, don't be jealous, be kind. We are not trying to be kind either. We are just simply saying, no, not me, not me, not me. Then who am I? So this is what we are saying. The next line is confusing because it says, na dharmo, na chartho, na kamo, na moksha. It just puts aside all the purusharthas at this point. Our entire journey, look at the maturity of the Advaita perspective. Nothing can compare to this level. And it's while it will teach for 80% of the time that you must, dharma is important, artha, chartha means cha plus artha, cha means and artha. So dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. This is a group that knows what it means. Sometimes we feel, but I have not met this and I have not met that, and I must have my moksha and I must be dharmic. But when we come into this inner sanctum, we are permitted to go beyond that contemplation also. And this is profound. Now, if we do not have a context of understanding these verses, and they have been misquoted by some novice teachers saying, dharma doesn't matter, artha doesn't matter, kama doesn't matter, moksha doesn't matter, so just live like a wild bohemian. None of this matters. So say Shankara. It all matters. Without this, you cannot be. If you are not on this journey, you cannot be receiving this knowledge. However, we are daring to look beyond. And at this stage, even moksha as a concept, as an intellectual category, has to be let go to simply dwell in that pure awareness. Otherwise, moksha has the requirements. Find a teacher, sit down, study words, this, that, but hold your breath, purify your body, all these things are there. What is that which even transcends this journey? What is that? Otherwise, we just stay in the journey. We are looking for that Chidananda Rupaha, Shivoham, Shivoham. Now, the next verse. Let me chant this third verse now with you. Na me dvesha raga. So I am not dvesha nor raga. Na me lobha moha. I am neither greed, lobha, nor delusion, moha. Mado neva me neva. I am not mada, pride. Matsarya bhava, nor does this pride lead me to jealousy, comparison. I'm not that. Those experiences of the mind, I'm not that. I am also not who I become when I pursue dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Who am I? I am Chidananda Rupa, Shivoham Shivam. What this also means is that this Chidananda Rupa continues as an existence despite all of the above. It is still there. So I am reconfirming Ishani's perspective here. Verse 4 now. So the first word is na punyam. Na. Na you need to understand. Na means not. Okay. So, or no, denial, negating it. So, punyam. Punyam is a word which means punyam and papam. These are two opposite words that you should know. And because we use it a lot, and I can write them for you, although you might have your text here. Punya, and the next word is papam. Okay, punya papam, say it here. So punya papam, what is this? Punya is connected with positive and papam is negative. What is this? When we perform any actions, for example, a teacher may correct a student, and it's very uncomfortable for the student's ego to deal with it. However, so on the surface, it may appear as if the teacher is being mean. However, if the teacher's intention was to correct a student not from meanness, but from concern for the student's consciousness, awareness, and where they are heading, what they are thinking, then while on the surface it may feel uncomfortable or negative, at an invisible level, at an invisible universal cosmic level within Brahman, some punya or punyam is generated, which is a positive credit, you can say. That's all I can say. It's like a invisible credit and debit. So some invisible credit is generated when something dharmic is conducted. Similarly, a surgeon may have to do surgery. They cut apart the body, they use the knife, and it gives a lot of pain to the one who undergoes the surgery. So on a superficial level, we can say that the surgeon is hurting the patient. Similarly, a judge may declare a judgment that is of imprisonment or fine, which may feel so unfair for the one who has to undergo that punishment. However, if the judge has done it with due fairness, due consideration, then, and not from personal vendetta, the judge is generating some invisible punyam. That is what happens when we do good. Good as in real good, no manipulation, just good. When we speak the truth, when we follow dharma, when we are being kind, compassionate, speak our truth, forgive, or speak up to bring about clarity in our small world or our big world, we are generating punyam. This punyam is part of your spiritual credit. It is not a physical credit. It is not a psychological. You don't see it, but it is like a cloud of punyam or positive merit. Similarly, we may be generating its opposite when our intentions are either ignorant, unfortunately, even in ignorance, maybe not that much. If we intentionally violate someone's sanctity, we generate a lot of papam. If we unintentionally generate it, we generate less papam, but we generate papam. For example, if we, these are very easy examples, right? If we step on someone's foot and we cause them pain, we generate some papam. If we intentionally step on it, we create much more papam. That's the thing. So this is a punyam papam universe in the transactional world. In the transactional world, it is happening. It is happening. So in the transactional world, more than what we speak or do, our intentions count. Our intentions count more than anything else. So, for example, we just curse someone. Nobody knows. We are in the closed room and we are cursing them for any reason because we couldn't talk to them directly or we feel uncomfortable. So we are cursing, cursing, cursing. Nobody is seeing, and on the surface, you can have a good relationship, but you have generated papam. And if quietly you said, may that person find light, I will chant this Gayatri mantra for them. What have you generated? Punyam. In the transactional world, this papam punyam is a big deal in according to the Vedic understanding of karma. Because then when we die, when one story ends, Chidananda Rupa has not been discovered, inner Shiva has not been discovered as yet. And until that discovery, we remain obliged to take on another body. Based on our net papam and punyam, we will get a life which is difficult or easy. Why? Because, and who decides that? Deep inside you. You are watching. Who is watching? You are watching. Who is keeping a math of papam punyam? You. Why will you have a difficult life? So that you will undergo the life of the person you cursed or hurt, so that you can experience the pain and you can. So this is in the transactional world, this is how it proceeds. Papam punyam is a big deal in our everyday reality. Now, even modern science has begun, modern spiritual science in the Western world, such as law of attraction, law of manifestation, it's a lot based on what are you thinking? What are you deeply thinking? Now, not just at the conscious level, but at the subconscious level, and that will manifest. They are now beginning to draw some conclusions. So but the difference between the modern spiritual law of attraction and manifestation and Vedic law of attraction manifestation is that based on our papam punyam, you can't change your immediate life. But if you have a lot of punyam, in this life, you may not even have a bicycle to take you from one end of in the next lifetime, you may have I don't know, some important big car, Mercedes or something. It doesn't happen right away, but it happens over a course of time. If a car is what in transactional reality is considered comfort, it's not just about the car. Brand name of the car is status, psychological happiness. So punyam increases our gift, our ease in transactional reality, and papam brings about difficulty. Okay. And the best way is to become vigilant about our thoughts, vigilant about our deepest subconscious thoughts. That is why even in our dreams, we should try not to curse anyone. We should have a talk with them. We should not curse them. That is the thing. Okay. Sometimes Baba used to say that you can build up 10,000 units of punyam, and then one subconscious, because why is even in the dream we should not curse? Because a dream is made up of our own subconscious thoughts. So in one dream, bad dream, we lose all 10,000. So it's a very subtle mathematics here. But this is not a class on papam punyam. This is not the law of karma teachings, but teachings are interwoven. But say we have generated a life of papam. Say we have been unconscious, we have been vindictive, we have been accusative, we have been manipulative, and then it is said that Ishvara took pity on us, that this Ishvara is that same self, Chidananda Rupa, outside or everywhere. And so Ishvara thinks, or that intelligence, because it's not a person, Ishvara, the intelligence deems, I'll use the words carefully, deems that, okay, this particular unit of me is really lost. So then they will interject by a book falling on our head, or that intelligence will bring us face to face with a teacher to guide us. Now what happens? Say you have 1 million kilobytes of papam, demerits accumulated. How will you ever achieve liberation? Yes, you will be asked to be more sattvic and to follow dharma in your transactional world. That is the job of the teacher. But when you come into this deeper Chidananda Rupa identity, then you have come into your Ishvara identity, right? Into your ultimate. This goes beyond papam and punyam. And so in an instant, you go beyond papam and punyam. And this is a radical, transcendental existence that is not about the account of good and bad in the transactional world. And that is why the best way to drop your karmic load of papam and punyam is to study Advaita Vedanta and Gyan Yoga, stay and learn this at every opportunity and continue to think it, because at some point when this learning deepens, while we may live in the body and be in this transactional world, one is living without knowledge of our true self, which is beyond papam punyam, and the other is to live with that knowledge. And once you have encountered for a fact, it's not coming and going, but it becomes your inner identity, inner knowingness, then when you live in the world, you live what is known as free of papam punyam. You're free because you have touched that which is forever free within you. But until you are bound, you're bound. For example, I'll give you an example, and it's a slightly harsh example, but that's what's coming to me. Say there is an orphan who is living in an orphanage home, and the orphanage home has its typical circumstances of not enough love and attention and some depravity and nobody giving you importance. You had parents outside, but you didn't know about them. First, you didn't know about them at all. So you thought that is your only destiny. And that was the net result of your papam punyam. Later, you found someone who lived outside the walls of that orphanage. We'll call that a teacher figure, who said, do you know, I know who dropped you on the doorstep. I think you have parents. 20 years ago, you were left here by a mother, father, and I believe they are there. So now you have this interest in finding out your inner parents, your parent. Now that I am only showing you that there is a parent. And then at some point, you start making inquiry, and then you finally one day discover. And the one thing is called discovery, and the other thing is you move from the orphanage to your own home. Now you come to visit the orphanage. What will you do? You'll distribute everybody candy, give them some reassurance, and point them the way, saying, perhaps your parents are outside too. Let's look. Got it? Simple. So when you come back for a visit in the transactional world, then you're visiting. Dharma will become your second nature. You will be living the moksha, not just crying for it. When I say crying means actually crying, we cry for it. We want it and it's good. It is said that you must cry for it, but now you have achieved it. So now you are acting as a free person in the world. That doesn't mean transactional world will change. The tsunamis won't come. The relatives won't frustrate you. The bank account will. This is all magic talk that other spiritual traditions give, but not Advaita. Oh, suddenly now that you are free. See, if you are truly free, why does it matter to you if your bank has 100K or 10K? Why? In the transactional world, yes. But the real freedom means not having to control the way your transactional reality is flowing. It brings about radical acceptance. Do you see the difference? Probably this is all I can teach because this is a deep, deep verse. But to go beyond papam punyam is possible when we connect with our inner truth, the inner Shiva. And once you've connected with that, you may come back into the world. And if you are rich, you don't push away the richness to try to be holy. If you are poor, you don't try to be overly rich either, because the way people in this state behave is they work towards dharma, artha, kama, moksha. They keep their artha, kama going. Dharma becomes their second nature. Moksha becomes their second nature. Artha, kama is needed till the body is there, because the body does not die with awakening. You simply live through that body as a being who knows who I am. That is the difference. Probably I should stop here because I don't think I can go any further. And we have 10 minutes, so I'm pretty sure you may have some questions around papam punyam. So maybe I'll explain the next two words. Saukyam is the word sukha or happiness, and dukkham is dukkha, unhappiness. So as a result, one more invitation we have is to negate the happiness and sorrow in our life. So we have to, again, remember, this doesn't mean that no sorrow exists, no happiness exists, no pop. All of this has validity, 100% validity in the transactional universe. But we are asked to negate it when we are going in the quest of our parent. We have to let go of the orphanage reality and step out of it and go be open to the possibility of a parent waiting for us. We have to do that. And temporarily, we have to let go of, oh my gosh, they must be serving cake in the orphanage and they only serve it once a month, so I better go back and eat it. Those kind of thoughts, we have to stop searching for the cake in the orphanage. When we go off, our mother and father may only, feed us boiled rice, but the boiled rice would be much better, don't you think? Yeah. Okay. Good. I'm happy with my example. Okay, let's stop here. Now, let us take your any questions, comments. Okay, Jayanti?
This whole thing makes me smile. It just makes me realize why it's called Leela. You know, you can laugh,
Yes,
right?
indeed.
I
Indeed.
just had to say that. Thank you,
Yes,
Shunyaji.
absolutely. Yeah. It definitely makes you relaxed. Yeah. That is why, because of this papam punyam being more of a transactional reality, and it matters there in the Vedas, in the Upanishads, we have stories of criminals becoming self-realized because they were a criminal in the transactional reality, but in the absolute reality, nothing could hold them back. And so the Ramayana, which is the Hindu epic, it was written by a reformed thug. What a tradition where our religious books are written by those who had murky roots like the lotus, but then they blossomed and gave the whole world light. So, because all this light dwells within us, and so to constantly think of our morbid identity as, oh, I have accumulated so much papam, God will never forgive me, I am a sinner, I will never ever be free. That then the Guru says, let it go, come, chant, go deep within, fall within. There is pristine beauty living within you. And there must be enough punyam that you have come across a teacher. So we say that the highest punyam is when a teacher shows up with Advaita Vedanta to show you the final door back to you. Yeah. Then we think self, we first think of our ego. But this is where Advaita Vedanta wants to take us beyond these egoic versions of the self. Okay, one last comment. If you have any, otherwise I will close.
Jai Ma Shunyaji.
Jai.
My thoughts are still forming. I just what you shared about the Purusharthas and going beyond them as an intellectual exercise. I think for years and years I was holding on to moksha as the pentultimate, and it is most certainly, but I'm realizing in what you said that how much of it is an intellectual exercise and how I've been using the transactional reality to anchor into that pursuit versus the negation. So my words are still formulating and just sort of lifting it up as I'm really looking forward to contemplating this more.
Beautiful.
Verse 3.
Also, because
Thank
you are one of my older students, so I feel comfortable in you saying that. If an early seeker puts aside the transactional reality of dharma, moksha, artha, kama, then they will stumble along the way. Yes, it's time to go beyond just stacking up the ducks in the transactional reality, the 4 ducks, to dropping into to letting go and dropping into the existence underneath. For you, yes. Those of you who are beginners, at least you are, you've not been with me like for at least maybe 10 years. Then for all of you, you have to ensure that you are studying up on dharma, understanding what is moksha, and making more sattvic your artha and kama. Because without that, we will dupe ourselves. I think that's a word, right? Dupe ourselves. We're not set up. Yeah. Okay. All right. So happy holidays. And I'm off to India day after tomorrow. So I believe I have a January class, so I will ask my father to join and bless all of you for Nirvana Shatakam. and he's very shy. He's camera facing. No, I have nothing to say. And sometimes he says things like, I don't know how to speak in English. So anything is possible. He will not show up. And then he would speak so fluently. So, you know, it has given me great joy to unfold these verses of the Nirvana Shatakam to you. We are all held and uplifted by this beautiful hymn. And may these beginning verses be your steady gifts, you know, from the transcendental realm in your transactional realm. So with that, I ask that if you are not been invited for a post-class meeting by me, you may step out, and I'm meeting with Aparna and a few others right now. Thank you so much.